I genuinely think Stray Kids is being underrated right now. A lot of people think their music is overrated, but in fact, I think if you consider their statistics and numbers and the impact they currently have in the market, they're actually being underrated rather than overrated. And I just want to talk about the reason why I believe so and all the other details. So first of all, very basic question. How many of you guys here know the group Stray Kids? Seems like everyone at least know. Okay, then how many of you guys have listened to Stray Kids music? I'm sure if you're interested in K-pop, especially in 2026, it's almost impossible for you to not hear a Stray Kids song, even if you don't like them. Now, the question is, how many of you guys actually like Stray Kids? Now we're getting a little bit of a mixed questions, right? Mixed answers. I think the reason why Stray Kids is being underrated is because of stays. Oh wait, oh my god, I said to myself that I'm not going to be rage baiting, but hear me out. I'll explain what I mean by this. Sometimes, when there are so many people that are crazy about or love certain groups so much, and there's such a passionate fandom, it actually makes you feel a little bit repulsed. So, I think the reason people want to downplay and underestimate Stray Kids is because they seem so many stays that are crazy and going off online. Just like sports fans, exactly. And I think exact same thing sort of happened, not anymore, but with BTS and ARMY a long time ago. Like same thing is happening with Stray Kids. And you know another thing? I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but Stray Kids audience, even though Stray Kids, it's been quite a year since they debuted. They're not like a recently debuted group. But at the same time, among international fans, if you were to ask what is the demographic of Stray Kids fans, what would you say? Is it 30s? Is it 20s? Is it teens? I think there's a heavy population of teenagers among stays, especially the ones who are active online, 20s and teens. So, it's not that Stray Kids as a group is repulsing, it's more so that people feel repulsed by stays who are teens. So let's cut all of those fandom things out and just look at purely the group itself. So obviously, when I look at groups, there's two parts to it, maybe three parts. There's the musical aspect. This is not related to any of those statistics, number, popularity. And there's the popularity side. If we look at the musical side first, do you guys consider idols as musicians? Because this might sound a little bit harsh, but I don't always consider the individual people or members in K-pop as musicians. I'm being serious. What I mean is, when I look at K-pop, the group is a finished product. So rather than that one person being artist, it's more so of the group as a whole that is a finished art. Like for example, when you look at New Jeans, do I feel heavily attracted to the musicianship of Hain or Haerin as individual? Or when people say I like New Jeans, is it the combination of their performance alongside with production, alongside with the concept and marketing? Like it's the whole thing, right? It's the whole thing. You can't just take the members. So as a result, I oftentimes feel like K-pop idols, they're a little bit far from artists or musicians. But not all groups are like that. For example, I think one of the first example in K-pop history was G-Dragon. You know how initially people saw Big Bang as like, oh, that's an idol. But then later they realized, oh, they're an idol, but people like G-Dragon is not just an idol, but also a musician. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I actually got that impression where when I look at Stray Kids, I get the impression that, okay, obviously as a package, they're they're a K-pop group, but as an individual member, they're actually musicians. And not all groups are like that. I don't get that impression from all K-pop groups. In fact, among the current 4th, 5th gen, or even 3rd gen that are active right now, not that many. And do you know where this really shows? Guys, this is so important, is you could hear it in the music. What I mean is when you listen to Stray Kids songs, you know how you could hear that it's Stray Kids? And I'm not just talking about voice. It's not just because they have the same voice. It's about there's like that same line of preference within the music. And I could hear that. I could hear that they're same taste and same voice making the music. I really don't want to compare because it hurts the other side. But do you know group like ITZY? The reason why they haven't been doing well recently is because I feel like they're the opposite example where I feel like that's what's lacking. Like they lack that core musician baseline. I don't know exactly how to describe it. So as a result, each comeback, I don't feel like, oh, ITZY's musicianships went into this. It just feels like, what should we do next? And that's also why New Jeans was very loved, because they had like a core musician baseline, even though it might have not been in the member. But Stray Kids, that is within the member. That's literally what makes it musically special. And also, not to mention, you guys already know my preference. What I like a lot in idol groups is I actually prefer, if you're gonna be in a group, you have to utilize the fact that it's a group. So, what is a benefit of group over solo? Solo, you only have one voice. Even if you could make different tones, you could really only use one voice as an instrument. But if you're in a group, the more member there is, the more different voice it has. So I personally don't really enjoy if you're in a group, but then everyone sounds the same. It's okay. Sometimes there's a fun behind it, but then sometimes it's kind of a little bit boring. I don't really get to identify individual members. In comparison, Stray Kids, the benefit is that individuals members' voice is very different from another. So their roles don't overlap. And as a result, the musically uniqueness is really alive. That's what I like. That's personally what I like. Now, going to the popularity part. Guys, am I the only one? Here's the thing, guys. I'm actually not even Stray Kids fans. I'm not even a stay. You guys know this, right? I'm not even a stay, but I keep seeing these news article about how Stray Kids set a new record in Billboard. They set a new record in the highest view over 24 hours. They set the new record and blah, blah, blah. Am I the only one who keeps seeing those? They're like breaking all the records. And here's the thing is that I think just because there's a giant named BTS in front of them, that's why Stray Kids doesn't get that recognition for their numbers. Like in terms of pure size, they're actually insane. They're actually insane. Their ticket sale, their streaming power is actually, in my opinion, insane. But because there's this giant named BTS who everyone, whenever there's a record breaking, it's all BTS. And as a result, they get less light. But okay, tell me a male idol group who surpassed Stray Kids in popularity and numbers. Tell me. Like, as of 2026. Oh, BTS. Like, okay, BTS. And then I can't really think of anyone else. See, 17, at once they were, but not anymore. Cortez, Longshot, they're nowhere close to Stray Kids. They're more like a newbie, if that makes sense. EXO, at one point, obviously, but as of now, no. ATEEZ, that's the thing is that, guys, if you think about it, ATEEZ, ENHYPEN, Cortez, Longshot, these are all good groups and they're all doing well. But in terms of pure power, do they surpass Stray Kids as of 2026? I don't think so. They actually don't. Do they sell more tickets or things like that? No, they actually don't. So, like even TXT, if we were to compare TXT with Stray Kids, I think Stray Kids has a little more size and popularity. Domestically, TXT is a little bit more popular in Korea, but if we're talking about globally, so at the end of the day, we look at all the stats and list all out. Basically, after BTS is Stray Kids. They're literally like number 2 right now. They're literally the number 2 in my opinion. Not talking about if the music is better or not, but you know how whether in sports or Olympics, the number 2, they always don't get as much spotlight as number 1. So because BTS is currently taking that number 1 spotlight in the number 2 place, even though Stray Kids is doing so strong, it just kind of feels like, oh, like Stray Kids? Like what? Like are they that big of a deal? Like they don't really get as much acknowledgement. Exactly. They grew when BTS was on doing their military service. That's also true. Good timing. Same thing with the 17. Same thing with EXO. And they're very actively participating in other things like, would you say, our Marvel movie OST. They were also in Arcane. Felix also started doing Samsung ad, like a Galaxy ad. This is a little sensitive topic to talk about, but did you know that Boy Next Door used to do a Galaxy ad in Korea? But then, right when the ad ended, there was this controversy that all the members switched to iPhone and the company was unhappy about that. Have you guys heard? Well, guess who became the next advertisement model? It became Felix, because Felix loves using Galaxy phone and he have shown that love. So they're also taking over all the advertisement and commercial deals. It's bad to kind of downplay other groups, but Gongcha as well. Exactly. Even the other day, I was at a Rise concert and one of the homies gave me pepero. He just gave me the pepero and guess what was on the pepero? There's a freaking Stray Kids on the pepero. Like, I didn't even buy a Stray Kids pepero. They were just there. They were just there. They're already all smeared in. That's the thing. You know who's rising these days? P1 Harmony. P1 Harmony's rising, Longshot's rising, Cortez is rising. You know how these are all rising groups? Among the rise and falls, at least as of now, who is at their prime peak is Stray Kids. But I feel like they're not actually getting acknowledged for that. Here's the thing, guys, we wait like 5 more years. There might be a case where other groups surpass Stray Kids. Because here's the thing, K-pop groups don't last forever. Their popularity goes up and down over time. So just like how EXO was one of the most K-pop popular group and Big Bang, but we have like our up and down different reasons. So it might not be surprising even if Stray Kids go down or go up. And also like once the military started coming in, it's sort of inevitable as well. So it's gonna happen. But at least now we have to kind of be like, this is their king stage. Because just consider BTS as like different level. You know what I mean? Just put BTS like aside. Cause is there any group that could really fight with BTS? No. Even if you bring in girl groups, no one could fight with BTS. So think of them as like an outlier. Without the outlier, then yes. Another reason why I feel like Stray Kids is underrated is because this is a little bit sad truth. They're not that popular domestic in Korea. In Korea, people don't know Stray Kids that well. Do you know why? It's also, first of all, it's because they do marketing and their activity more so globally. They're more focused on global market than domestic market. Second, Korea's trend right now doesn't align with Stray Kids colors. Korea's current trend with boy group is fresh. That's the concept. Like fresh, like youth, But you know how Stray Kids is like. Do you know where I'm coming from? Like so the trend doesn't align and people don't want the stuff anymore. They want a little more like like do you know what? Okay, if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. Like, you see what I'm talking about? the challenge, it doesn't align with Stray Kids concept. And here's the thing. I think this is okay. What I mean by that is, you know how Stray Kids currently doesn't align with Korea's trend? I like that. It means it's literally like a proof that they're not trend chasing. Whenever I listen to their song, they don't chase trends, guys. They just keep doing what they're doing. They just keep doing that, loud music. I know some people use this in like a negative term, but like I would say like energetic music. And that's something that makes you last a long time. Once you start to copy other groups and follow the trend, then that's when the identity gets weaker. The identity is such an important thing for K-pop group. Temporarily, like momentarily, if you chase those current trends, you might be able to get a little more sales and things like that. But the better groups generally have a clear identity. Like for example, think about ENHYPEN. You know how ENHYPEN, there's that whole vampire identity. And Stray Kids, there's that like like that identity. That identity is what allows you to survive. Or else you end up becoming like a new group and you just get buried under time. Then you know what happens? If the identity gets weak, then the only people who remains is the people who only like the face. I'm not saying liking idol for the face is bad. That's fine. People all like idols because they're handsome. But you guys agree, there's so many handsome idols out there. So being just handsome is not good enough for idols. Not to mention, I genuinely think Stray Kids is also handsome. What's your opinion on Cortez? I think Cortez is doing that well. Cortez, Longshot, these recent groups are very identity strong. I think this is like a K-pop trend. I don't know if you guys notice. Among the second, third generation, around like 17 EXO era, these groups used to change up their concept every other comeback. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? There used to be time period in K-pop where groups would come back with different concept every time. Like different vibe. Like one day they'll be like school, youth, and the next comeback they're like sexy. But then what happened to those groups? They don't last long. In comparison, think about like Twice. You know how Twice is always twice? Like twice. And they're still there. So I think people and the companies realize that. And among the older groups, because I genuinely think Stray Kids is not a young group. Among the older groups, they've been doing that well. Another good example would be like NMIX. You know how NMIX does their mix pop stuff? And they weren't like extremely loved. But then now finally they're getting the recognition. So why aren't you I Stay? Me? Okay, when I say I'm not a stay, the reason is because it's the same thing when I say I'm not a true army. I personally think if you want to claim yourself as stay, you have to know all their songs, know them really well. I just don't feel like I know them well enough for me to claim myself as a stay or claim myself as engine. So if I were to claim myself, the only one that I could claim is army because I've spent most time knowing them. You don't have to be a stan. I don't like using the term fan when you're not serious about it. It's like the same logic when someone says I'm a weeb and the only thing they watch is Naruto. I don't like that feeling. I only like when you call yourself stay or you call yourself anime lover when you dive deep into it. Oh, so I could say like, oh, I'm a fan of them, but I don't have the right to say I'm a stay. There's such thing as a casual fan? Then you shouldn't use the name. No, here's the thing. No, you guys can. I just don't want to do that. Yes. You know, my favorite anime manga of all time is Hunter x Hunter, but I still can't go out there and call myself Hunter x Hunter fan because I don't remember all the characters' name. There's like 200 characters and sometimes I forget their names and I feel guilty. How could I call myself a fan if I don't know all their discography? Oh, the only person I could say I'm a fan of is actually, I don't know if I'm Husikaze fan because I don't know his birthday. I should know his birthday, but I don't know his birthday. Anyway, going back to the Stray Kids talk, any other reason that you guys think they might be underrated for? Another thing that I personally think is the lyrics. You know how Stray Kids lyrics are, I don't know how to describe it, like funny, direct, unique? You know how their lyrics is definitely nothing like other groups. It's really nothing like other groups. I think it sort of becomes a mockery to people who don't know Stray Kids music. In my opinion, I kind of thought it was funny too. It's funnier if you're listening it as a Korean perspective. But that's the charm. You know, that's the charm. That's the charm. If you take out those lyrics from Stray Kids, you know how that would take out the charm from it? Exactly. Like, I think the lyrics literally are the charm. And in that sense, I'm actually so happy to JYP. I know he be saying all kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, one of the reasons why I think Stray Kids is doing so good is because JYP gave them freedom. If he said, he looked at those lyrics and be like, we're not gonna approve these lyrics. We're gonna have someone else write the lyrics for you. Then it might have ended up becoming like a boring group. But then he just kind of fully trusted them and said, you guys collect the members, you guys write the song, you do whatever you want to. You know who I think this applies so well to? Is Day 6. I don't know if you guys are interested in Day 6. Do you guys know when Day 6 debuted? They really weren't popular. Like, people really didn't know them. But what JYP did is they said, okay, we're not gonna touch you guys. You guys keep writing songs and you guys make yourself a better musician. And then they kept writing songs over and over and over. And at the end of the day, what happened Day 6 now? They know how to write songs so well. They literally make Korea's best hit songs. And they're the most popular K-pop band in the scene right now. I think that's the same thing with Stray Kids. Now, the only thing that Stray Kids has to worry about is, number one, cancel. Everyone's getting canceled nowadays. The only thing that could sort of hinder them back is if one of the members get canceled. That would really hinder the current move. I'm very scared about that. This is something that you can't even predict. It just happens sometimes. Hopefully, I don't think they're involved in any crime, but at the same time, people online, they be canceling people for any reason. So I just hope that doesn't happen. And number two is military. Time is gonna pass. Who's the oldest member in Stray Kids? Is it Changbin? Who's the oldest? Is it Bangchan? How old is he right now? In international age? 29. He hasn't went to military, right? Oh, he's Australian, so he doesn't have to go. But Lino has to go. Ah. Okay, that's lucky. That's very lucky. the Australian part. So I'm pretty sure Felix doesn't have to go either. I'm guessing you could probably push it until you're 30 something. If he goes at 31, then they have about 3-4 years. Ah. It is a responsibility for Korean male to go to military, but at the same time, everyone in Korea would agree going to military hinders so many athlete and musicians' career. Obviously, it hinders everyone's career, but especially towards these idols and athletes because unlike other career, these careers focus a lot in their 20s, but at the same time, this military service is mandatory in their 20s. Day 6 already went. Day 6 is fine. So, not just in the idol scene, have you guys ever seen those Korean athlete or Korean, even like esports gamer, League of Legends gamer? They have to go to the military and then it really puts a large gap in their career. That's the only thing that Stray Kids has to be worried about. But I think they have at least 3-4 years. So I think they're fine. What more recognition would you want them to get? It's more of a nuance. I'm not necessarily asking them to get Grammys or something like that because you know how we talked about Grammys yesterday? I don't necessarily think getting Grammys mean much. Awards? They don't mean much. Also, Stray Kids already has a lot of awards. It's more so, I just wish the general public don't view them as, oh, isn't that a group that only teenagers like, kind? Because in my opinion, they're sort of the leading K-pop's captain, I should say. They're like a co-captain right next to BTS. So I just wish they sort of get the same level of respect that BTS get. Because another thing is, for the number of members, they also have been not involved in that many controversies. Because I don't know if you guys know, there's so many boy groups in Korea where the members get involved in so many controversies. I'm not talking about getting canceled for no reason kind. I'm talking about where they do something wrong and I'm not gonna say the group's name out loud, but I think you guys know which groups I'm talking about. So I'm very happy that Stray Kids members aren't making any bad troubles. That's actually really, really important. Because you could be good at singing, you could be good at whatever dancing, but towards fans, they don't even wish they sing better. They just wish they don't do anything illegal. I could just talk about the criminals, right? How many times have I said, you guys know one of my favorite group is Big Bang and my favorite member was Seungri? You know the feeling when Seungri got involved in all those Burning Sun? You know, that sensation? Like after that, my love and passion towards Big Bang and all of those, it crumbles down. So I think in that sense, Stray Kid fans stays are very happy because I wasn't gonna mention NCT, but NCT, I'm sorry. I was thinking that the whole time. I feel bad for NCT. Yes. Another thing. I think being looked down as a teenage girl group is just inevitable fate of having a fan base of primarily young women. You know, good thing? As group get older, these fans are going to get older, so it's going to be better. They're not going to get any younger. These days, they're not getting any younger. They're only going to get older with me and Stray Kids, just like everyone else. So even though they might be like 15-year-old girls, in 10 years, they're going to be 25. You know what other group went through the same stage? Is 17. When 17 first came in, everyone used to call them like young girl group, only young girls like them. Now, the Carrots are in their 20s and 30s too. The Carrots, they got old too. Wait, hopefully that doesn't sound mean, but I'm saying like they matured with 17. So I think same thing's gonna happen with Stray Kids where right now you might feel like the stays online are so annoying, but they're gonna mature over time along with the other members and the group. Look at what happened with VIPs. VIPs? I don't know how you call it in English. Who are the Carrots? Carrots are 17's fans. EXO? EXO, I just feel bad. You know, I always feel bad when these group kind of get teared apart with different members and things like that. That's one of my least favorite things. I think, you know, this is related to Stray Kids as well. You guys see groups like NewJeans, you guys see groups like EXO. It's actually very difficult for K-pop groups to remain with same members. That's why BTS is amazing. That's why Stray Kids is amazing. You try to do group project with 5 people in your classroom. You know how hard that is? Try to do that for like 5-7 years. That's also what another group I want to give shout out to is Twice. They have so many members. I think they have 9. I don't know if I remember the number correctly. I've never seen a group so tight together. I really think that's another reason why Twice is in the long run, because you could put these idols together and make them act like they like each other in front of camera. But then if you become a fan and you see them off camera, you could really tell which group actually enjoys other members versus they're just there for a business relationship. I personally feel like Stray Kids, you could also sort of see the group's member actually enjoying each other's presence. Same thing with BTS, same thing with Twice. I really feel that strongly about Twice, but yeah, not all groups are good at that. You know the reason why Big Bang, if you watched Big Bang's content, sorry to bring in Big Bang into this, even before Burning Sun, you could sort of feel that Seungri was sort of out-circling. I don't know if that's even a word. You could sort of feel that he was doing his own thing, not with the other members. You could literally feel it in the interviews and things like that. So I think just being in a one singular group, Stray Kids is very happy about that. You should be very happy about that.